In today's video, I'm gonna share with you the 4 questions you need answers to, right, when buying a multifamily property independent of a real estate agent. So I'm Juan Pablo, JP, Multifamily Done For You, founder, CEO. Let's jump into it. So what inspired this video is that we actually have a deal that we're expecting to close by the end of this month, maybe the beginning of next month. As I shared in the previous videos, we like to close at the beginning of the month because of the advantages we provide our buyer when they close in the beginning of the month. You know, renting the prorations for the rents and security deposits. It's less money they bring to closing. Okay, so that's a separate video. You can check that out later. But there's a particular property in which it's an 8 unit, and we actually sourced this deal from one of our property managers. Okay, so our property manager, she manages a few properties in our portfolio. And she reached out to us and said, hey, I actually have this seller who's interested in selling the property. And she lives out of state. She lives in the state of Washington, right? And she's interested in selling. So this goes into the 4 questions that you need answers to. And I'll break it down as an acronym, make sure it's memorable, WWWW, okay? So the first thing you need to ask is, where, right? Where's this property at, right? The location. So that way we can do our own due diligence. Is this in a market, an area, a neighborhood that we would invest in? Is it within our buy map, right? Because if this property is in a D area, D is in duck down, D is in dangerous, D is in don't do it, then of course, it doesn't matter how sweet the deal is, we're not going to do it, okay? So I want to know the where, the location about the property, like what's going on in the area, right? What's going on with the local board, the economic board of development, okay? What's up with the crime rate in this location? So the where is vitally important. And then the next question I wanted to ask her, the property manager, is the what, right? What kind of deal is this, right? Oh, okay, this is an 8 unit in which one of the units is illegally being rented out as a unit. And to make this unit legal, we gotta add a fire escape to this property, which is something that we can easily do, okay? So she shared us details about the number of units, the square footage, the number of bedrooms and baths, what's wrong with the property, because she's managing it. She's sharing with us the what in terms of the income, the expenses, the whole 9 yards, okay? So vital information coming from the PM, the property manager. Now this brings to the next question. Who's selling it? That's the who. So she shared with me the contact details of the owner, and I gave her a call. So when I called her, I said, hey, Joanne, how's it going? My name is JP. I was speaking with the property manager, Melody, and she was sharing me details about the property and the location. So you're interested in selling this 8 unit? Yeah, I'm interested in selling the 8 unit. Okay, great, but why is that? What's going on? So then she starts to share with me about how she happens to be a licensed agent, right, in another state, and that she's interested in offloading the property, and she has 2 or 3 other single family units. She's an 8 unit building and 3 other single families. And I spoke with the property manager about the single family. She said, no, they're not good, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's just stick to the 8 unit. So I wanted to know the condition of the property, that's the what, as well as the motivation of the seller, the who. And once I find out her motivation, I also asked, you know, what are you looking for? Like, in order to be happy and walk away from this deal, what do you want? And she said she wants to sell this at a purchase price of $300,000. That's it. That's all you want, $300,000. And so I reached out to one of our buyers or investors, and I said, okay, I spoke with the seller. So I know the condition of the property. Of course, we got to do our own due diligence, don't get me wrong. But just from, you know, the outside looking in, it seems like a good buy. I know the condition of the property and the motivation of the seller, okay? And I know what she wants. She just wants that $300,000 sales price. So based on that conversation, I highly recommend we negotiate seller financing, because my investors' pockets were, I don't want to say tight, but he could have definitely put 20% down, but just to help him out, 10% down, because I knew that we had to do the fire escape and there's some other repairs needed on the property. I just got the skinny from the property manager. So me factoring in the repairs, I said, okay, we should negotiate seller financing on this deal. And he was cool with it. I spoke to the seller, Joanne. She was cool with it as well. Got it on the contract. And while having it on the contract, once we performed due diligence and we found out that there was more repairs needed, she recommended, okay, well, how about for the seller financing note, maybe for the first, whatever she said, 2 years of payments, 5 years of payments, our investor just keeps that in his pocket. Doesn't have to pay her, and he can use that for the repairs. But I countered, I said, well, I don't think that's good for you. What we really want is credits at closing. So we negotiated credits at closing of $20,000, right? So that's less money he has to bring to the closing table that he can use to do those necessary repairs. So finding out the who is vitally important. So let's recap before we get to the last one. So we talked about the where, we talked about the what, we talked about the who, and the last question is, when do you want to close this bad boy, right? And she was motivated to close this by the end of the month of June. So we're almost there. We're trucking away. The only caveat is the buyer's mortgage process, because we switched lenders, being that it's a lot of repairs, and we wanted to work with a lender who can also finance some of the repairs as well. Okay, so we switched lenders like midway through, and all this is transparent, by the way, by both sides, both parties. But it could push the closing back a few more days, as I shared the first week of July. But that's fine, because that's even less money he has to bring to the table as a result of the prorated rents and the security deposits. All right, so those are the 4 W's you should ask for every deal, whether you it's from an agent or not. This is just important to ask. Where's the property located? Tell me the what, the details of the property. Tell me about the who, the seller, their motivation, and so forth. What they want, what their magic number is, and last, when can we make this happen? Because oftentimes when a person's motivated, they want a quick closing. So you want to be able to close on time, and at max, maybe extend it a week if need be. All right, guys, so if you're interested in buying a multifamily property, we're your team. Execution all day long. All you have to do is just check the link below in the description and schedule what we call a discovery call, where we'll see if we're a good fit for you and you're a good fit for us, okay? Now, you don't have to do anything I share in this video. All I ask is this: just keep coming back, keep viewing our content, check the cars, the videos, subscribe, and become an informed consumer to the point you have, like Juan Pablo says, 70-80% information, you can take action, all right? As always, guys, this is to your success. Continue to earn passively, live passively. Peace.